Some people feel that it is midnight in America. The Supreme Court removed substantive due process protections from Roe v. Wade and turned it into a 10th Amendment states' rights issue. Then they removed from the states the rights to decide if they can require its residents to show cause if they feel the need to carry a firearm outside of their homes for reasons of self-defense and protection. The reading of Miranda rights to the accused has been weakened, allowing abuse of the rights of the accused under the Fifth and Sixth Amendments of the Bill of Rights. The court chose to turn back the clock on the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to require power plants to use methods to reduce carbon emissions by stating that Congress failed in its legislation to grant the EPA the power to enforce the new rules it was required to make. The court's ruling, as written, almost invites lawsuits challenging the EPA's ability to enforce any of its rules and regulations, and other federal agencies may well be challenged to their enforcement powers as well. With violence springing up on both sides of the abortion issue, some of which has sent pro-choice protesters to the hospital, it looks like this will be a long, hot summer of simmering tensions, which may boil over at times. With inflation rearing its ugly head, gas prices at near record levels, and airlines persisting with last-minute cancellations of hundreds of flights per day, this could well be a summer of widespread discontent. But is it really all that dark? No, I really don't believe it is. Geographically, a fairly high percentage of women never did have easy access to an abortion, which many of the large western states having only one or two clinics to cover sometimes hundreds of thousands of square miles, their choices often required a drive to a clinic in another state simply because it was the more convenient solution. Despite what has been said by many liberal pundits, all the court said about the Miranda warning was that the defendant was now far less able to file suit against a particular officer who failed to Mirandize them before questioning. Their lawyers can still make motions to have any statements made before being made aware of their rights stricken from evidence. The vast majority of law-abiding citizens feel no need to go around armed for self-protection, and those that do either transport large sums of cash from their business to the night deposit, or they have some sort of paranoia festering in their minds. The matter of the EPA's authority to enforce regulations will be, most likely, quickly handled after the midterm elections. I can't imagine any member of Congress coming out in favor of undrinkable water, unbreathable air, or brown skies. Acts of violence over the abortion issue have been few and far between as far as physical injury goes. The property damage would appear to involve only a few anarchists who are scattered about and trying to delude themselves as to how important they actually are. The economy, unfortunately, was well overdue for some sort of massive correction. Over 10 years of sustained growth, we were lulled into thinking that the good times would never end, but they did, and they will return. Fuel prices spiked because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. While we bought little oil from Russia, the European countries were highly dependent on Russian oil and gas. Sanctions placed on Russian exports of oil and gas have caused a major reshuffling of the oil supply, and that demand has driven prices up. American oil supplies require a price of around $55 a barrel to make it profitable to pump out of the ground. With the per barrel price far above that, those back-in-field wells can start pumping again. But it still has to be refined, and that takes time. So eventually, gas prices will come down to more reasonable levels. Airlines will get the flight crews they need. Pilots fly because they love to fly. Finding pilots is not a problem. Flight attendants were treated so shabbily by many passengers, some even violently attacked, that it will make anyone think twice about whether the job was worth it. Some decided it wasn't and quit. With the FAA mandating how many cabin attendants are required for the number of seats on an airplane, flights lacking a full crew just are not allowed to leave the ground. But there is always a ready supply of people who are anxious to travel and will gladly take on the job. But it does take time to train them. We still have the right to practice any religion we choose, or not to if we are so inclined. We still have a free press and can gather with others to peaceably speak our mind. We can tell the government what we think of its attempt at governing without fear of reprisal. We can still own weapons if we choose to and keep them in our homes. We still have the right to tell the police that if they want to search our house to go get a warrant or just to go to hell. It's our choice. The government cannot require us to testify against ourselves, nor can they put us in the dock twice for the same incident. If accused of a crime, we still have the rights as citizens of this nation to a trial by jury, to face in court those who have accused us, and to have competent counsel represent us. We can sue our neighbors, or anyone else for that matter, and have that case heard by a jury. We have the right, subject to the severity of the offense, to have a reasonable bail set. Any fines we're ordered to pay must be within our means to pay it. Nor may we be whipped or beaten as punishment for any offense. We have the right to do anything we see fit, so long as we don't break the law. We can vote without having to pay for the right to do so, and we can't be forced to do unpaid labor unless we so choose. Bruce Springsteen has always marveled at the fact that members of the armed forces see his protest song, Born in the USA, as a favorite song to be played frequently and almost adored. The reason service members feel so strongly about that song is that because it does represent our country, warts and all. And they accept that and are willing to defend it, warts and all, in the hopes that better days are still ahead. We Americans have an unabashed pride in our country. In any other country in the world, if you see the nation's flag in front of a building, it is some sort of government structure. In America, one can hardly walk down any street without seeing Old Glory flying in front of some house or several houses and in front of businesses. It is flown in front of churches, not because they have to, but because it stands as a symbol that they may worship in any manner that so suits them without government interference. I could go on, but that's it for today. So long, stay safe, drink one for me. Over and out.